Well, there's good news and, of course, bad news in the Gulf, where scientists now estimate more than 200 million gallons of oil have spilled into the water there. But is the environmental impact perhaps not as bad as many had once feared?
By the way, to compare that to Exxon Valdez, Ian Thompson says it's 20 times the amount that spilled in Alaska is what spilled in the Gulf. Anyway, Florida Senator Bill Nelson joins us now. And Senator, I want to ask you this, because the state of Florida has been hit very hard by this issue of folks not coming, particularly to the Gulf Coast, on tourism. Looking back, and hindsight, of course, always is 2020, but here we are at day 106, looking at the environmental impact, which we're still, of course, going to be probably studying for years, but the economic impact on the panhandle of your state of Florida. Did things get overhyped, in your opinion, and did that hurt the economy there in the state of Florida?
It didn't get overhyped because, in fact, everybody was looking at your channel, seeing the oil out there gushing underneath, 5,000 feet below. They saw that picture of the oil completely covering up the sugary white sands of Pensacola Beach as far as the eye could see. And so naturally, people wanting to take their vacation were thinking, well, we don't want to go down there and swim in waters that has oil. The good news for Florida was that most of our beaches did not get hit except with a few tar balls on the northwest coast. The rest of the beaches were fine, but that didn't stop the tourists from canceling their plans. And indeed, that's happened all up and down the Gulf Coast, all the way down to Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete, Sarasota, etc. So there's a huge economic loss, and that's what this $20 billion trust fund is for.
Right. Have you been surprised, sir, that the oil has dissipated as quickly as it appears to have dissipated?
The surface oil, no, I'm not surprised, because the sun will oxidize it. The wind comes along and churns it up, and it dissipates. Here's the unknown, Savannah. What's underneath?
Right.
And that's what the research scientists are now doing, plus the scientists at NOAA. I just was with University of South Florida scientists yesterday, and to determine how much oil is down there and whether or not the bacteria is consuming it since it's dispersed. And then, of course, the other big unknown is, what about the chemicals in the dispersants? What has that done to the health of the Gulf?
Senator, I guess I would like to get your take on why you think things, I mean, in many ways, look, everybody was worried about the worst case scenario, and at times it always looked like the worst case scenario. You at times were very critical of the Obama administration, sometimes in some of their response efforts. Looking back, grade the Obama administration on this response effort, and what are you expecting from them going forward?
Well, they simply did not understand how big of a disaster this was to begin with. And they set up a command and control structure pursuant to the law. Give them credit for that. But it was a command and control structure that the law says that the Coast Guard is 51% in control, and BP and the others the rest. Well, in a disaster of that magnitude, when things are happening so fast at the beginning, you simply cannot control the situation if someone is not clearly in charge. And if they had to do it over again, I think they now realize that's a lesson learned. They'd have to sharpen up that command and control structure much more like a military command structure. Eventually, they got the act in order.
Right.
And eventually, they were able to respond real time.
Hey, very quickly, Senator, I know you're a supporter, a little political question. I know you're a supporter of Congressman Kendrick Meek in the Democratic primary down there in the state of Florida for the U.S. Senate. If Jeff Green wins the nomination, are you committed to supporting the Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, no matter who it is?
Yes, I will support the nominee. In the meantime, I think you're going to see Kendrick coming on strong. There may be a big surprise here, even though Jeff is leading him right now.
So no chance you will support Charlie Crist under any circumstance before November?
Oh, no, I'll support the Democratic nominee.
All right. Senator Bill Nelson joining us from the Russell Building over on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.